We just got a 10-minute gameplay segment for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and within those 10 minutes there was a lot of hidden details and secrets within the background and behind the scenes of how this game is going to work. So today I have 75 facts for you guys, talking about small details, big details, and everything in between about how this game works. This was an absolutely huge video to put together, so if you guys enjoy it, please stop what you're doing, leave a like, and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Zelda, Tears of the Kingdom, and Nintendo in general. Now, let's jump into the video. I'll be going through these very quickly because we have 76 of them, but first off, Link has a new apple icon for up on the D-pad, which is probably how you get to his materials a lot quicker, considering the fact that you'll need them in order to fuse with your sword, shield, and even your arrows now. Similarly, there's a new icon for L, which allows you to use your brand new hand abilities. There is brand new UI for the weather and temperature gauges that just looks a lot more cleaned up than the original game. And some of the sprites are even different as the sun has more dots around it. The map has some type of coordinates along the bottom now. I'm not 100% sure what these numbers mean, but they change as Link moves around the terrain. The map also has unexplored terrain, once again probably because Link has to go to the brand new towers in order to activate parts of the map. It looks like the map will be revealed in brand new segments outlined by the blue line. That's not a river or any other path, that's actually the path of the area that Link can activate. Yep, we're hitting everything with this video. The autosave icon at the bottom left is slightly different with a new animation. Alright, that's enough about the UI for now. You can find giant structures that had fallen from the sky all over the map. You can see a big one stuck to the side of the mountain. I'm not sure if you can move it out of the way and maybe there's a cave there, but you can see it up on the hill. You can see one of the brand new shining towers off in the background, which is probably how you activate the new parts of your map. There's also a new structure or area at the top of the mountains by Kakariko Village. And you can also see an example of that big piece of rock from the mountain sitting here on the ground. We see new enemies within this gameplay called soldier constructs that take place in the sky, but we can see an enemy camp of them here on the ground, probably because an island had fallen with them all on it. We can also see another one of those Zonai swirl stones on Twin Peaks. There's new smoke that comes from the horse stable, and it's actually coming from the horse's nose as it shoots out puffs of smoke, probably to alert players to where these are in the overworld now. There's an NPC that states, "I need to reach my friend," and it's a Korok tipped over with a beetle bag on him, and he probably got it from Beetle by the horse stable, as you can see him sitting in the shade. There's some pink smoke coming from something in the background. Now, it's not a fairy fountain because there's no fairy fountain at least on the map for Breath of the Wild right there, so maybe it's some type of new NPC or pop-up shop. We can see a box of materials by the horse stable, and we'll see this again at the end of the trailer, but it seems like this is where Link can keep planks of wood and other materials in order to build bigger projects. There's even a little picket sign beside it, probably explaining what it's for. I assume this is where you would go to build something huge like a car or even the hot air balloon. The arm ability to rewind time is called Recall, and it seems like you can move your cursor over anything that was moving in order to make it go back in time. And you can make it go all the way back for a very long time until that gauge is depleted, and the gauge runs a very long time. Now, considering you could probably upgrade it later on in the game, and this seems like to be the very beginning as Link is very weak and only has 4 hearts, I would assume that this is probably the first amount of gauge that you get to start the game, which is still a lot because it's enough to take him all the way back up into the sky to the Sky Island. As Link flies up past Twin Peaks, you can see another swirl stone on the side of the mountain, and you can see some more falling debris that's stuck to the side of the mountain as well. You can see them extruding from the cliff sides, and you can see even more sitting at the top of Twin Peaks, probably to be explored. It's also a clean transition from the ground area to the sky area, and you can even see it transition on the map that shows that this is probably 2 completely separate maps that you have to unlock. It seems you can also stop recall at any time by pushing the L button. And I thought I'd squeeze this one in after already talking about the numbers on the map. Maybe the 2 sets of digits to the left are the longitude and latitude, and the one to the right seems to be counting up as Link gets higher, showing his altitude. And then when Link flies over to the new island, you can see that there is a dive button with R. We can see one of those giant land markings again on the side of a cliff in the background. It seems as if Link will be able to move the giant blocks on the Sky Island he's going to, and it seems like it might even move the entire island itself as there's a giant extruding walkway coming from it. There is a giant dragon above Mount Lanayru, and it's probably just Naydra again because that's kind of the domain that dragon would fly from in Breath of the Wild. Mount Lanayru also has a giant spire coming from the tip this time, so maybe this is one of the towers or something completely different. you can see some red malice or some clump of malice on a mountainside down below. And one of the islands is engulfed in a thundercloud. You can barely see what's inside from the flash of lightning where it kind of spreads the clouds and you can see some islands before it goes away again. Now let's move on to the Sky Islands. The higher you are on the map once again shows a lighter area on your map. But if you look at the Sky Island map, they're all extremely light because obviously we're all up in the air. It's just a nice little detail. There seems to be different biomes even up in the sky, as there's a snow area with like tree roots and also another spiral stone that's just not active. You can also see a pillar with a glass orb on top, and we'll see it again later in the trailer where we can talk about it more. And we can still see the malice tentacles spewing out of Death Mountain off in the background. You'll notice new flowers, mushrooms, and other foliage all around the areas of these Sky Islands that you can collect. You can see new enemies once again being the soldier constructs that we saw on the ground already, but they seem to be running the terrain up in the sky. And we've seen stuff that looks very familiar to these guys already back in past trailers where Link was coming up on a giant one, which was probably a boss battle now looking back at it and looking at the arena that Link was in. But what's the point of these guys? Well, we know not all of them are trying to hurt Link, and they don't really look like they're trying to really hurt him or trying to do something really evil, as they're only picking up sticks and wooden objects in order to hit Link. So maybe they're training bots in order to train Link. And now the speculation can end because we get a soldier construct horn and a Zonai charge from this soldier after defeated, which proves that these are made by the Zonai. We've seen this huge temple almost every single trailer, and maybe it's the starting point from where Link starts, or maybe somewhere that you have to get to at the very end of the game or something after collecting keys, or I don't really know. Or maybe it takes you somewhere else, maybe even higher with more Sky Islands up there. But it seems to be a major important island in this game. We obviously know another move for Link's arm is fuse, where you can fuse different things together. And we know he uses the boulder to fuse with the branch, but you can also fuse the boulder with the old wooden shield by pushing the shield button. So yeah, you could probably have a shield with a boulder on the end of it. Who knows what that would do? Would it just make it extremely durable? I don't know. When Link first fuses something and holds it up in the air, you can see what stats increase with it. As you can see, his damage goes up by 2 with this brand new stick boulder, the Stolder. Link is also wearing a new Zonai bow on his back. Now we might see the purpose for having the material icon on the up button for the D-pad to quickly put on materials for your arrows. As he puts on a leaf, it increases his arrow damage by 1 for some reason. I don't know why the Korok Frond leaf would do any more damage than a regular arrow, but you also have tons of other materials that you can easily put on your arrow and you can sort them. Now, I'm not sure if every single material in the game can be attached to things because going through this menu would take a while if that was the case, but we can see some things have changed from the past game. Like Amber now is kind of shaped like the tip of a spear, which probably does a lot of damage. Now, of course, there's things that just don't make sense, like other mushrooms and flowers. Why would you want those for arrows? And even like the meat, why would you want a meat arrow? But you also have the Keese wings, which maybe could make the arrow fly longer or something, or maybe just the tip where the claw is, it can do more damage. But obviously this is stuff that we can play around with for a while and see what they all do, which would be a lot of fun. Maybe the meat arrow just draws enemies towards it as you shoot it on the ground or something. One of the things you can use is the Zonai construct horn as well, which has a spiked tip, which would probably work well with any sword, spear, or arrow. We see Link use the ice choo-choo jelly in order to freeze this enemy, which tells me that maybe there's no elemental arrows this time around. Like there's no bomb arrows and there's no fire, electricity, ice, whatever. You just have to make those arrows yourself. You can see another dragon flying high up in the air, and it seems to be a different type of dragon than the other 3 just by looking at its mane. It looks almost golden, and it may be kind of some type of Zonai dragon. Or it could be one of the other 3 now when they're in the sky, because we always wondered where they went. This could be where they go. We also see Link trying to shoot down a new type of white flying bird above him. Something really cool is you can see the clouds on the left side of the screen almost fly straight through the islands, which is going to be a surreal experience to be running through these islands and then clouds just go right through us, fogging up our view for a little bit. That's awesome. Link opens up his inventory once more, and you can see more Zonai items and different spearheads, and also some type of egg thing. We now know it's the eyeball that's attached to the arrow that allows it to follow after anything nearby and home into it, and we've seen that in the past trailer as well. Link puts a puff shroom on his shield that works as a smoke screen. If anybody touches it, it will cover the area in smoke, making Link invisible, allowing him to sneak up on enemies and hurt them. So there's a lot of planning that goes into fighting enemies. You don't just want to run up and just start sword, swinging, whatever, you can plan how you want to go about it. Link picks up something called a wooden stick, but it's actually just a sword carved from wood. And this might be a reference to Link's very first sword in the Legend of Zelda original game on the NES, where he just had like this little wooden stick sword as the first sword he received. The map also shows some type of blue icon that looks like a shrine, or maybe some type of puzzle area that Link has to solve something like the new shrines, and also some type of house with a check mark on it. Next, we'll be moving to the building/crafting section of the gameplay. But first off, in the background, we can see some grind rails going all the way down from the top, which you can probably ride on your shield on, which we've already seen in a past trailer. There's also some more buildings on the map, that blue symbol once again, some more houses. There's even a shop later on in the trailer. There also seems to be some type of symbol with a battery on it, maybe showing that there's some type of vehicle part up there for you to get in order to construct your boat, car, or whatever you're building. When Link turns on the Ultrahand, you can see the objects in the background glow along with anything else that he can pick up. So it's not just for crafting things and putting things together with that sticky glue, it's actually just for moving things as well. I know this was already touched on, but it's super interesting that you can detach things and reattach them in any way that you want and make completely random things that are completely custom to how you want to do it. And if you look closely, it helps you to line up your log piece that you already put on the other side by putting dots on either side of the wood planks. You also have a free horizontal and vertical axis to move these devices any way that you want, so you can turn them, rotate them, flip them over. That's a really cool new addition, and you can see it briefly before putting the logs into the water. Fans have a very short battery life. They're like the Nintendo Switch. However, it seems they recharge after not in use, and Link turns them on by hitting them with his sword or any object in his hand. But if you look at the map, there are no battery symbols on the map indicating that this is a piece that he can collect. So what is that battery symbol on the map? I still don't know. Maybe it's some type of charge station or something where you can take a bigger vehicle to recharge? I really don't know right now. We can see symbols or gauges on the face of the fans, which we see on all the Zonai technology. We've seen it on lots of the different construct creatures that we've seen already when they are on, so maybe it's some type of battery life or power signal. There's also a neon green circle on the map, and maybe this is what's indicating that there are vehicle parts to be picked up over there. And there's also a shop over there as well, like I mentioned earlier. Now we get to see another construct, and this one is called a ranger construct, and it seems to be tilling the ground or planting something, where they are not attacking Link, and it seems like you can go up and talk to them. So this shows that there are nice ones that don't try to attack you like the soldiers do. But this just makes me think that they are testing Link, and none of them are truly evil. It also has a glowing symbol on his chest that resembles the ones from the fans but looks slightly different. Maybe the symbols mean different things. Once again, that giant Zonai boss we saw in the past trailer has a symbol very similar to the fans. That's just some type of needle gauge. I wonder what this means. I can dive into this a lot more deeper in a whole video talking about these creatures. We then move on to some type of old shrine with a broken construct on the ground. I don't know if this is a soldier construct, but one of them have been broken to pieces. We then get to see the last ability being Ascend, which allows Link to ascend through the ceiling of any type of building or room, which is pretty interesting. Aonuma also stated that if you are stuck in the cage, you can use this to get out of the cage, which is very interesting and is probably leading to some type of dungeon or mechanic that's later in the game. Thanks, Aonuma. There's also a separate scene of Link going through liquid or water if he's going through a massive piece of land. In the background, we get to see two giant areas that have similar colors and brick patterns on the floor, which looks to me like they're two battle arenas. The one on the right is a battle arena that's probably one we've already seen with the block creature, as there's a stack of blocks in the middle of the arena. We then see Link enter a cave, which seems to match up with one of the homes that's on the map, and maybe it's a home to this construct right here working. Once again, they're just doing farming and kind of gathering materials with the pot beside them. We then see some more grind rails in the background, but this time we can also see a minecart. But we also have that giant stone pillar with the glass orb on top that we saw earlier, and it seems to have some type of green lighting on the inside like we're supposed to activate it. Maybe it activates the mine rails, allowing us to actually move along the rails with our minecarts a lot easier, or maybe it powers something up nearby. All of this actually reminds me of the Lanayru region from Skyward Sword, with the old robots, the time travel stones that you have to hit, the minecart rail sections. I mean, seriously, this is definitely giving me flashbacks. And there's also now an alert that says unbearable cold if you go into extreme temperatures, and it flashes red. Now this was always a problem, I think, for me, because it was hard to tell if I was in the too cold or too hot territory until I listened and saw Link kind of stumbling over, and sometimes it was hard to pick up on. This time they alert you right away. away very easily. The soldier construct has a piece of wood tied to a stick, and it allows him to shoot gusts of wind to blow things. This is very much like the leaf item that we had in the first game, but this time it seems like we can just attach some random things in order to create random events to happen in physics within the engine. As Link falls, we can see another giant symbol on the ground. You can also see the mountains around Kakariko does have some new structures along the mountainside, maybe as a way of defense from more enemies coming into the town. Link can now free fall and dive while in the air, which is a lot better than him just falling straight down. He actually holds his arms and legs out, and you can control him as he falls. A quick fact, as he hits the water with such great speed, it actually shoots the water up in the air and has it fall back down, almost like it looks like it's raining. We can see the two maps change once again after hitting that certain height, which isn't the best transition, but it gets the job done. We can see where the Ridgeland Tower was in Breath of the Wild, and now it's covered up with some type of rock or debris or something. You can also see another ground pattern beside it as well. When Link gets out of the river, you can see another build area to his right, where you can probably build your car, plane, boat, whatever you want. In the background, you can see one of those flying Kagarok enemies carrying a moblin around the broken structures. And number 75, we see a tarp over tons of cement bricks. So what is this for exactly? Well, something that a lot of people are starting to piece together is maybe we are rebuilding Hyrule. You know, how we're crafting our weapons, crafting our vehicles. What if we actually get to craft Hyrule itself? And that's the big premise this time around. It's about us rebuilding Hyrule, and maybe we get to work into rebuilding some of these civilizations, some of these structures, so that way at the very end we get to have our own Hyrule built the way we want. Maybe we can redesign certain structures, certain areas, and certain, big villages that used to be on this map that are now in rubble, and maybe rebuild it the way that we want it to look. Could you imagine? This would almost have an Animal Crossing vibe to it, where everybody's Hyrule might be completely different from everyone else's. This is definitely a topic for its own video. And that is 75 facts that I found throughout the gameplay of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. Now, the way that Aonuma spoke about this, he made it seem as if this isn't the only one that we're getting. He said, well, that's all I'm going to do right now for today. As if maybe he's just going to keep coming up and showing us different elements of this game. Maybe next time he'll show us something else, more of the story-wise, or more of how we're going to progress the world and give us more things to look forward to. So maybe this is how they go about the game. Maybe this is the marketing plan. Like literally for the last month, every other week or so, they just kind of stop in and show us a 10-minute gameplay segment about something with the game to slowly build our hype week by week until the game comes out. I mean, I really hope that's the case, and maybe that's what we're doing all the way throughout April since there's no major game release. I know the Mario movie's in April, but still, that would be amazing. But let me know in the comments down below what you thought about these facts and if you found something that I may have missed, and let me know your predictions for this game down below. Thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to stay up to date on all things The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom and Nintendo in general. And like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See ya, guys.